Hello everyone, and welcome back to coverage of Grand Prix Sao Paulo for the MSEM format. I'm Caillou, and today we're going to be watching the round 4 match between Gynoidpoet, who is running out blue-red Mina Phoenixes, which is an iteration on the existing Phoenixes archetype with cards like Myoga Firebird, where you intend to play a bunch of cantrips, discard a bunch of cards which recur themselves from your graveyard at a certain threshold, and then go ham. Gynoid's deck innovates by using the 1-drop Mina, Jeweled Minnow, which makes the first 1-drop spell you cast each turn free. This can also enable like turn 2 Phoenixes and some more explosive starts. At the other end of the table, we have Splashcat, who is playing Mardu Dawson. It's essentially a mid-range deck focused around the titular Planeswalker Lord Ricard Dawson. And it also uses a bunch of other planeswalkers and then planeswalker synergies with first general of the wards and stuff like that. So kind of an aggressive mid-range deck that also can just grind out the opponent pretty effectively. So turn 1 Splashcat opened up with the Dawson's Loot. Meanwhile, Gynoidpoet opened up with wait, what did they cast over here? Okay, yeah, just cast the Gift of the Phoenix, discarding Myoga Firebird, drawing into the Frostfire Geyser in the finish off. Turn 2, Splashcat is playing out the Prying Inquiry, just to hand attack Gynoid. Looks like they took the second Gift of the Phoenix to prevent, another way for Gynoid to discard that Myoga Firebird. Also definitely would have really liked it with the Whisperwood Phoenix. Now Gynoid is kind of in a harsh position where they have a finish off as like two instants that they can or two 1-drops that they can cast, and then if they get a third, they can revive Myoga Firebird. But otherwise, they're forced to just counter one of their own spells with Invalidate if they want to get a turn 3 Phoenix, and only getting one Phoenix down turn 3 is something that Splashcat's deck can easily deal with. So Splashcat is going to drop Tiny Heroine Tati. This seems like a bit of a mistake because Splashcat knew that Gynoid had the Invalidate. Maybe wanted to force them to run out the Invalidate so that they couldn't get back the Myoga Firebird. But I think that Splashcat could have just played Ruin Delver for 2. Do they have? Yeah, they have 2 fetches in grave, so they could have Ruin Delvered, drawn 2, lost 2, and then next turn set themselves up for like Pitchpire Curse or like something like a Hanabira and just really go to town. Especially since you don't care if you Hanabira, you really don't care if they get back their 1 Phoenix because you can just lock. You can essentially pacifism it down. Yeah, Gynoid not drawing into a third recurring spell. I think they're probably gonna hard cast the Myoga. Yeah, hard casting Myoga Firebird right here. This is honestly kind of a fine backup plan, because they have these 2 finish offs in hand as reach and another Phoenix that they can just play next turn. Okay, Splashcat drawing a Corpse Bed. That's quite good right here because they can just play it and then exile the Phoenix engraved to prevent that from being recurred. And it looks like Splashcat, before that though, is going to tap out for Ruin Delver, drawing 2 more cards, has a Rogar's Frenzy. So actually no, I think the question is, he's not going to play the Corpse Bed yet, and I think the reason is they want a Rogar's Frenzy to be able to kill the Myoga Firebird on the battlefield, and then Corpse Bed to exile it. But it looks like if Gynoid chooses to go all in, they can go finish off on face, deal 6 damage, bring back the other Myoga Firebird, and then threaten for lethal this turn. So I think Gynoid will do that. And one of the Phoenixes will die to Rogar's, but that's still putting Splashcat down to 4 life. Or sorry, no, not even down to 4, down to 2 life. And that makes it, and they'll put actually Splashcat down to 1 life because they actually have to tap for a Wayfarer Shrine. So Splashcat is actually going down to 1 here, which means they can't end up using their Shardstone Rift. The Ruin Delver can Hanabira next turn and start locking down the remaining Myoga Firebird, but this puts Splashcat in a really bad position where they just die if they ever Gynoid top decks a single point of burn. Dawson's Loot doesn't gain life, does it? No, it just filters. So yeah, Splashcat gonna, in response to the attacks, doesn't want to die here, so gonna fetch up a mountain, and then Rogar's Frenzy to kill one of the birds. And then goes to a precarious 1. Next turn, and I think next turn just dies because you can Ruin Delver to tap down Miyoga Firebird um, with the Hanabira, but doing so, like, Splashcat doesn't have enough mana to save themselves from a Whisperwood's Phoenix. Because Whisperwood Phoenix also has haste, so it just comes down and kills. And a Splashcat... So, okay, well, actually what Splashcat could do is... Splashcat could play Pitchpire Curse. Okay, yeah, Splashcat's out there was actually play Pitchpire Curse, sacrifice Ruin Delver, and that empties Gynoidpoet's hand and battlefield. It also removes Splashcat's only threat, so I can see why they wouldn't do that. But yeah, and it also lets you keep Event Horizon up even if Gynoidpoet uh, top decks another Phoenix. Okay, so yeah, thanks to Hanabira is gonna essentially pacifism the Miyoga Firebird. Okay, draws an Invalidate, doesn't really matter. Just gonna Windmill Slam the Whisperwood's Phoenix, and that's game. Okay, yeah, and that about wraps up game one. I think Splashcat chose to go for a bit of a riskier play by not playing the Corpse Bed that one turn to exile the Miyoga Firebird, and ended up being punished by losing the whole game right there for that one interaction. I don't think it was a wrong one by any means, though. And this is kind of a hard matchup to navigate because, like, without the removal, Splashcat is kind of just like playing a less explosive deck against a far more like a one that threatens you far more. And Splashcat's hand was not really set for being interactive there, at least at the early parts of the game. But yeah, okay. That was a really tight game one. Let's see what cards Splashcat could bring in from the sideboard to give themselves a slightly higher percentage point to overcome this matchup. So looking at their sideboard, Myrmidon's Warhead looks like it's more for mid-rangey / more aggressive matchups. Therium Abrogator, it is flying and can trade off with the Phoenix. That is a relevant reason to bring it in. Stopping ETBs is not actually relevant. It might be kind of it could be counterintuitive if you're trying to like run it alongside your Ruin Delvers. But I think being a flying blocker that can trade with the Phoenix is actually very worth it. Explorer's Fate I think is again for mid-rangey matchups. Long Forgotten is a slam dunk bring in because it's Grave Hate. Same thing with Seal the Tomb. Void Flare kills Phoenixes, so I think that's also justifiable. Tiny Heroine Tati gains you life, but is also a 3-drop and is a little bit... I think you could maybe make the argument of swapping out like another one of its... like a Setosan or something, but it's a little dicey. Mapumo, I think, is easy to bring in as just like, again, another kill your Phoenix is dead, and then maybe Face the Dawn. Because I think that like you can pretty easily just say, I don't really need Dawson's Loot here, even though it gives me somewhat consistency. Don't really need Mark of Dark Opulence because they're not going to be tutoring. I don't need some of my more grindy, like, I think that, like, the hand attack is good, but then I don't really need, like, First General of the Wards or Ruin Delver, to be honest, because I think that, like, because of how all-in Phoenixes is, you win the game if you can just answer their threats, and then you can just you resolve a single win con, and then I think you just win. Unless they have another Phoenix in hand and they attack your Planeswalker, but that's just how life goes. But I think you just overload their, you let them give themselves severe card disadvantage, and then just removal spell all of their threats. Meanwhile, on Gynoidpoet's end, I think you bring in just the 4 spell stutters and call, or maybe not all 4, because you still want to be fairly linear. But I think that like the spell stutters do what Invalidate wants to do, except better. So yeah, I think you just bring in 4 spell stutters for the Invalidates and call it a day. Okay, and we're getting into game 2. Looks like Splashcat is once again on the play and did keep in the Dawson's Loot. Interesting. And did keep in the Ruin Delver. This game is looking a lot like the previous one. Is going to Ruin Delver for 2 here. And it looks like Gynoidpoet's plan is on end, play Mina Jeweled Minnow, and then presumably Wheat from Chaff for free on their own turn, and then try to draw into more interaction. This also allows them to bin both their Miyoga Firebird and their Whisperwood's Phoenix, and then set up for an explosive turn 3. So yeah, here comes the titular innovation. Okay, so Gynoidpoet untaps, draws another Wheat from Chaff. So they can sculpt their hand reasonably effectively here. The problem is if they discard both of the Phoenixes here, which is kind of the play they need to make because of how high rolly the deck is. The problem is once they do that, like Splashcat windmill slams Corpse Bed next turn and just exile to two Phoenixes, and then can just ride the Ruin Delver to victory, basically. Okay, so they draw into Whisperwood's Phoenix, Myoga Firebird. If you're Gynoid, you discard the double Whisperwoods first. The reason being, you want to get an Ash counter on them this turn. Yeah, so discarding both of the Whisperwoods Phoenixes. And then I think you just play Mountain, Gift to the Phoenix, discard Myoga Firebird, and then hope to draw into two more 1-mana spells. That... Oh, right, now, actually, you can... No, actually, because of Mina, you can actually just recur Myoga Firebird this turn. Oh, yeah, I can actually just recur Myoga Firebird this turn as a result. So draws into Unquenched Greed, finish off. I think you discard, like, Mountain Myoga Firebird, which sounds weird, but I think you want to just keep having gas. No, okay, discards the Unquenched Greed, and now plays the Mountain, and then plays, like, what? Or, sorry, plays the Frostfire Geysers, finish off, because has drawn 3 cards this turn, so you can finish off to kill the Ruin Delver or hit face, whichever one seems more important at the time. Okay, finish off on face. He's not scared of the Ruin Delver. And with this is the 3rd spell this turn, so Myoga Firebird finds its way back to the battlefield. Yup, here it comes. So Splashcat is on about a 3-turn clock here, if Gynoid draws another burn spell, but is going to be able to just immediately Corpse Bed, exile the other 2 Phoenixes so that they don't come back, and then kind of just try to probably play a Dawson's Loot here to try and cantrip into a removal spell. I think that's honestly just the best plan. So yeah, Corpse Bed is going to come down, exile both of the Whisperwood Phoenixes. And yeah, Dawson's Loot is the only playable card in Splashcat's hand. They can go Pitchpire Curse, but I think that's actively bad here. So yep, going to play the second Dawson's Loot. And a Void Flare is definitely worth it. I think that you just, you can hold this up, and the thing is you can cast Void Flare to kill the Myoga Firebird, because Dawson allows you to mana filter. So before combat can just kill the Myoga Firebird. So that was kind of the perfect top deck right there. Okay, Gynoidpoet meanwhile has a double Gift to the Phoenix here. So could probably is probably looking to just draw into something here. Yeah, at this point you're just spinning your wheels. So Gift to the Phoenix comes down. The Ashes crack because it's a mandatory effect. But obviously since there are no Whisperwood Phoenixes in grave, nothing happens. And Gynoidpoet discarded the other Gift to the Phoenix, which I think is a mistake, instead of discarding the land, because they have 3 mana effectively this turn. And now the problem is that they can't, like lots of the explosive stuff that they could have done this turn is now no longer possible, because they could have discarded Whisper. I guess you could hardcast Whisperwood's Phoenix here, or Plaxola Piari, but then I was thinking that like you could discard Whisperwood's Phoenix, and then try to Gift to the Phoenix, try to draw into a blue spell, and then free cast Plexodal Piari. But yeah, so it's going to swing in for 5. This is a 2-turn clock, but now Splashcat is going to crack the Arctic Mine and Void Flare the Myoga Firebird. Kind of ironic that a Phoenix is being killed by a card whose card art is Giant Fiery Phoenix Bird. It's like, hold on, don't use my own brethren against me. Still, Gynoid still has Whisperwoods and Plaxodal Piari, which are both good threats in their own right. But looks like Splashcat is going to drop the Seto-san. Again, the lifelink is super useful in this matchup. And it's just going to +1 to make a warrior. Doesn't want a -X for anything, because I think... I don't know that there are really relevant targets in Splashcat's deck, because the only big one is Pitchpire, and that's not even worth it right here. And you don't want to put Seto-san down to 2 loyalty to the point where Whisperwoods could kill it. Okay, Resonating Force. Interesting. I am surprised that Gynoid brought this in, but I could see... I guess it's good as like anti-Planeswalker tech, but it's only temporary. I think it is good here, though, because you can essentially make it so that Seto-san can't attack next turn. So yeah, Resonating Force coming down, bouncing the Seto-san, which is essentially making Splashcat lose out on 3 life they could have had. And it also gives Gynoidpoet a turn to try to draw into Spell Pierce. And then Whisperwood's Phoenix hits for 2. Splashcat will gain this back next turn because they have the 1/1 lifelink warrior, so... But the important part is that this does put Splashcat in double bolt range. Splashcat top decks the Rogar's Frenzy, though, will also be able to kill the Whisperwood's Phoenix. Okay, drops the Seto-san, get a +1 again, and swings in with the first warrior, and just goes back up to 6. See, Gynoid needs to close this out really quickly, and I don't know that they have the tools to. And draws the Spell Stutter a little too late. That's unfortunate. They can Spell Stutter the Rogar's Frenzy that's going to come down, though. You're going to crack the Clue, and they draw into an Oracle's Vision. They can just free cast the Oracle's Vision here thanks to Mina, and then spin their wheels a little bit more. Or they could decide to save it for next turn so they can try and hit the 3-spell threshold. That's not a bad idea either. But yeah, I think that like Gynoid needs to try and find some sort of answer to the Seto-san, which is also why I think that cracking the Clue with Frostfire plus Mountain was a bad idea. Reason being is that if you got like a red burn spell, you want to be able to cast it to kill Seto-san alongside your Whisperwoods. Also, the predicted line did happen. Splashcat tried to run out the Rogar's Frenzy to kill Whisperwood, but Gynoidpoet free cast the... Oh, didn't free cast? I think Gynoid forgot that Mina allows them to free cast. Yeah, they're mentioning it in chat. But yes, they hard cast. I don't think they get the chance to now. It's because it's a May trigger, and they chose to pay the mana. So, Spell Starter counters. Seto-san goes down to 2, but is not in danger of dying this turn. And yeah, now can +1 swing in for 5 lifelink damage, and oh, not another top deck. Splashcat getting another Rogar's Frenzy. This time, oh, then they're going to Pitchpire Curse Gynoid. Yeah, and this is really scary because now Splashcat can just sacrifice one of the warriors each turn, and then they're hitting in for like, they're sacking. Why are you sacking the Ruin Delver? I guess they just want maximum lifelink. Okay, I guess they want maximum lifelink. So they hit in for 8 this turn and threaten to kill Gynoidpoet next turn, and they also, I guess, doesn't have access to Rogar's Frenzy anymore because they tapped out for the Pitchpire Curse. So yeah, now I think Gynoidpoet's only hope really is just cantrip into a bunch of other cantrips. Also drawing the Miyoga Firebird. Oh no, Gynoidpoet saying GG. Not gonna play out the Oracle's Vision, which I think is a bit of a mistake, because I think you can, especially with a Miyoga's Firebird in grave, you can get up to 3. You can, like, if you, depending on, I'd say just play the Oracle's Vision first, and if you don't hit a cantrip, fine, hit the GG. Otherwise, you can just kind of high roll into recurring a bunch of Phoenixes and killing them on the spot there. I think that was a bit of an early concede from Gynoid, but I get it because you're facing down lethal next turn. But at least play to your outs. Okay, and we're getting into game 3. Gynoidpoet with a cantrip-filled hand, probably hoping to just run into a bunch of Phoenixes as a result, especially with being on the play. Now, choosing which cantrip to play first is pretty skill testing. Yeah, okay, Oracle's Vision I think is the right call, because you want to see if you hit a Phoenix there. Plexodal Piari. Oh, Plexodal Piari, Unquenched Greed. That is unfortunate. Okay, they draw into a Wheat from Chaff. And then I think, yeah, next turn you probably go Frostfire Geysers, discard a Wheat from Chaff, and then see where you go from there. Splashcat's hand, meanwhile, is kind of interesting. It's incredibly just teched for this matchup. You have Seal the Tomb to exile Phoenixes, Corpse Bed to also exile Phoenixes, and then Rogar's Frenzy to kill any that manage to slip through the cracks, basically. So yeah, I think I probably on end if Gynoidpoet does do anything, will Splashcat seal? No, Splashcat won't seal the Tomb to Plexodal Piaris. They'll just Corpse Bed them because Piari is not as an important a hit target as the Phoenixes themselves, probably. Ooh, and Gynoidpoet just gonna play a land and pass. I'm kind of sus of this. Like, even if you want to, like, wouldn't you just play, if you wanted to play Mina into something, why wouldn't you just play one of your cantrips? Unless the fear is that, like, I guess the thought is you want to have every card in your hand because you want to have a land to be able to play. You want to be able to Mina and then just play all 4 of the cantrips in your hand to just dig as deep as possible. The problem is, like, stuff like Wheat from Chaff does technically make you go card negative, but I guess the thought is, like, hey, I'm going to be discarding whatever I get anyways, unless it's a better cantrip than one of the cards I have here. So, thinking about the math more, I think I get why Gynoidpoet did this. A Splashcat keeping up the Shardstone Rift instead of playing the Corpse Bed there. On end, Gynoidpoet is just going to play the Mina Jeweled Minnow. Both players kind of slow rolling this, but that's all going to change with Gynoidpoet's next turn. Okay, they draw into a finish off. Probably going to just start off with a free Wheat from Chaff, I'd imagine. Yep, here comes a free Wheat from Chaff, courtesy of Mina. Okay, draws into their third Wheat from Chaff and another land, which I think you probably discard both of those, to be honest. Or maybe you discard Crystal Cavern Finish Off. No, Finish Off is instant, so you want to keep it. So they do just discard the Crystal Cavern and the Wheat from Chaff. Okay, and I think you just continue to spin your wheels. You play Wheat from Chaff number 2 right here. The main thing is you do this because Gift to the Phoenix. If you draw into a Phoenix that you can't keep for some reason, Gift to the Phoenix allows you to just draws another Crystal Cavern. Gift to the Phoenix. Ouch. So this is going to be a heavy spinning the wheels turn, huh? Okay. So I think you discard like land Scorch here, as weird as it sounds. Or no, land. Yeah. Okay, they're taking the Gift to the Phoenix instead, but I think you do need to like. The burn is not. My opinion is that the burn is not as good unless it's backed up with actual creatures, and so I think you want to have more of that digging. Yeah. Okay. Probably Gift to the Phoenix. Discard Scorch. No, he's just gonna swing with Mina. I guess the thought is, Gynoid's thought is, I'm not gonna go off this turn anyways, so let's draw another card that could potentially be worse than what I have here to discard to Gift to the Phoenix. They also have Finish Off up to be able to kill, like a random, to put damage onto a random walker that could come down, or to kill a Ruin Delver. So Splashcat is thinking, should I Seal the Tomb, like Gift to the Phoenix or one of these cantrips? Or they're thinking about, should I Rogar's Frenzy, kill the Mina? I don't know. I think it's kind of hard to say. I'm not experienced enough in the matchup to tell whether, like, you should pull the trigger here or if you should just wait. I think it's, I don't know if it's relatively free to Rogar's. I feel like it's fine to Rogar's Frenzy the Mina, especially because you have double Seal the Tomb to stop Phoenixes from coming back. And it's just mana efficient, but I'm not like super high on it as a play. It does definitely kind of feel bad to use your 3-mana damage spell to kill their random 1/1. Okay, so on end, Splashcat does Rogar's Frenzy the Mina. They're just going to play the Desolate Dominion and pass. Meanwhile, Gynoidpoet going to crack the clue, dig a little deeper. Hits a Myoga Firebird there, so that's a good thing to discard with Gift of the Phoenix next turn, and they can guaranteed recur it. Of course, guaranteed. Not counting Seal the Tomb. Okay, and wow, third Finish Off. I think, right? No, sorry, second Finish Off, but still third piece of burn. So this is all adding up to a very explosive, potentially explosive turn. The only thing is if Gynoidpoet doesn't hit a blue spell, they can't actually recur Myoga Firebird. Are they going to hardcast it? I guess because of that exact fear, they're going to hardcast it. So probably Splashcat's just going to Rogar's Frenzy to kill this, and then untap Seal the Tomb before Gynoidpoet can untap. And yep, Rogar's Frenzy coming down. Myoga is going to be cut down for now. And now Splashcat gets to untap, exile all copies of Myoga Firebird from Gynoidpoet's deck, which is brutal. Of course, if they play this right, if they let Gynoidpoet untap, there could be some potential lines, but yeah, I think you play Seal the Tomb, exile Myoga Firebird, and then I think that you do play the Shardstone Rift to find a white-black duel, and then play Seto-san, just to get some proactive life gain onto the board. So yeah, like, Gynoidpoet has, does still have threats in Whisperwood Phoenix and Plexodal Piari, but of course, 2 of the Plexodal Piaris are already milled, and Whisperwood's Phoenixes are far worse than the Myoga Firebirds, just because that 1 extra point of power makes such a difference. Oh, and also, yeah, actually, like, Gynoidpoet revealing their hand will probably make it so that Splashcat reevaluates playing the Seto-san here, because they're like, do I want my Seto-san to immediately get blown up and die? Probably not. But also, what's she gonna do about it, you know? You probably, you need to wait until Splashcat just runs their hand out, and then you can play Seto-san. Alternatively, you just like you play Sedasan and use it to bait out two burn spells, and then just make it so that you 2-for-1 them by playing a necessary threat, and then just be like, well, I have a better chance of top decking a game winning threat than you do, I guess. Well, Splashcat is playing the fetch untapped, so it looks like we are going to see a Sedosan coming down, regardless of the burn. And yep, Sedosan coming down, plus wanting to force double finish off on her basically, and then you still keep around the 1/1 lifelinker, which can add up over time. Gynoidpoet drawing another Mina. I think the only good thing about this Mina is that you can trade with the warrior. At this point in the game, it's a little bit bunk. Or it's good as discard fodder right now for Gift of the Phoenix. But then if you play Gift of the Phoenix, you potentially are putting yourself off of having 2 red sources to kill the Sedosan. So I think that you probably just finish off Sedosan, and then keep up Mina is probably the thought. Gynoid put in chat asking, can I win at all from here? And the answer is still very much yes. You can kill the Sedosan, trade off with the warrior, and then Splashcat only has 2 cards in hand, which you don't know the identity of. So it looks like, yeah, Gynoidpoet is going to double finish off the Sedosan. And also, Gynoid also has additional card advantage with the Clue. So even if they're going minus, like even if they're 2-for-1ing themselves to kill the Sedosan, they still have card advantage over Splashcat. Oh, but I think that the Dawson top deck might just do it. Oh man. Well, okay. Technically, Gynoid still has removal with Scourge, so it isn't. They can still carefully start to 1-for-1 answer Splashcat's threats. See up, here comes Lord Ricard, and I think in this matchup, if you're Splashcat, you don't actually want to give Gynoidpoet a discard outlet. You want to create the treasure and then threaten to have the Lightning Helix mode online, but that may just be me. Oh no, okay, they are making Gynoidpoet discard a card. And in this case, then, I think, yeah, you just discard Mina, and then try to keep around Gift as card draw engine. The only problem with discarding Mina is that you leave them with the warrior as a win con, but not much that can be done about that. Okay, so I think the line here is probably Scorch Ricard, Gift of the Phoenix, discarding the Invalidate, and then you try to draw into something. Or alternatively, you just play the Scorch and then hold up Invalidate plus the Clue. That's also not a bad idea. I think the problem is that you're kind of out of the range of where you can invalidate anything that Splashcat has other than First General of the Wards, especially with the treasure around, so I think it might just be better to do Gift of the Phoenix, discard, and validate. But first, of course, you gotta Scorch Dawson. There's no 2 ways about it. Okay, Dawson bites the big one. And then, yep, Gynoidpoet is gonna run out the Gift of the Phoenix. Draws into Invalidate and another Gift of the Phoenix. Oh, the irony. Just replaces it with the same cards. I mean, the good part is, I guess they still have the Invalidate to keep up if they want to, but yeah, they're left without a threat of their own / an answer to the warrior. And Splashcat just keeps top decking threats is the unfortunate reality. Gonna drop the Ruin Delver and then probably, yeah, why not just draw 2 more cards? And this mitigates the card advantage issue that they were having. But yeah, banger after banger. Okay, and draws into Rogar's Frenzy, another Ruin Delver, and yeah, this feels... Oh, and Splashcat's just gonna do it. Ruin Delver number 2. It's a little greedy, but why not, I suppose. It puts Gynoidpoet on a 3-turn clock. Okay, so swings in for 1 with the warrior. And now Gynoidpoet's only hope is to outrace. They can't play the defensive anymore, because they don't have enough burn spells to answer all of these threats. And they don't have I don't think they would have brought in the Reign of Madness in this matchup. So and Gynoidpoet continues to have subpar draws into Shock Fetch. Probably just going to Gift to the Phoenix that away. I do think that Gynoidpoet did make a mistake in not just invalidating the second Ruin Delver, but can't be helped. Okay, cracks a Clue, just draws into another Shock Fetch. This is looking like a lost game. Oh, and Gynoidpoet with a bit of an early concession, but yeah, they were definitely far behind there. And I think, yeah, that it was a combination of kind of unfortunate, Splashcat had an incredibly stacked starting hand in terms of interaction, and their only bottleneck was not having any win cons, and then they just drew win con after win con after win con in the mid game. So kind of a hot streak for Splashcat, and then Gynoid. I think Gynoidpoet's deck is kind of built to be explosive, so in the middle game you can very easily run out of gas, which we've seen happen in previous matches. So, bit unfortunate, but yeah, it's still I think that those were good games from both players. I think they both tried to navigate the matchup in the best ways that they could. Um, Especially that game two where it was super down to the wire. But yeah, I think that leaves Splash. I think Splashcat it might be 2-1 or 2-2, or sorry 3-1. Let's check out the leaderboards right here. Gonna do my handy dandy GP leader call here. Okay, so it looks like this puts Splashcat at 2-2 rather than 3-1. So still not contention for top cut, but I think if they win their next round, I think 3-2 is still a respectable record and puts the Dawson deck on the board as like a deck to respect. But yeah, until next time, this is Caillou signing off.